Okay guys, and welcome to the next video in the Multiplier mini-series. And again, just to be clear, I got this image here from the Intelligent Economist, and we are trying to explain how an initial injection can cause a greater increase in national income than the initial injection itself. Okay, and this is called the multiplier effect, and how it causes this greater than proportional increase in national income is by causing the aggregate demand curve to shift out further than the initial injection. So the initial injection brings the aggregate demand curve from 81 to 82, and then the multiplier effect takes the aggregate demand curve from 82 all the way across to 83. Okay, so the next stage of the multiplier is to take taxes into account, and of course there are two versions. Okay, there's 1 over 1 minus the MPC plus the MPT. Now I just want you to keep in mind here, and I think this will be more evident from the second version here, savings are a leakage from the circular flow. Taxes are a leakage from the circular flow. The bigger each of these are, the bigger the denominator or the bottom number of this whole fraction is. There are two ways to make a fraction smaller. One, you make the top line or the numerator smaller. The other one, you make the bottom line or the denominator bigger. So the bigger these numbers are, the bigger these leakages are, the smaller the effect of the multiplier will be. Okay, that's very important. And the multiplier is the relationship between an initial injection into the circular flow of income and the resultant increase in national income coming from that injection or resulting from that injection. Okay, it's been calculated that the MPC is 0.9, the MPT is 0.1. Calculate the size of the multiplier. Well, we're going to use this one here then, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go 1 over 1 minus the MPC plus the MPT. That's 1 minus 0.9 on the bottom line plus 0.1. So 1 minus 0.9 is 0.1. So the bottom line becomes 1 over 0.1 plus 0.1, which is simply 1 over 0.2. And what that means is we have a multiplier of 5. Now, a multiplier of 5 means that an injection of €10 will increase national income by €50. Now I want you to try to remember all the way back when we only had the MPC, okay? And when we had this as an MPC of 0.9 and no taxes, the multiplier was 10. So even with the addition of 10% in taxes, the multiplier is halved. So you might think it would fall by 10%. No. Because it falls by 10% at every single transaction. Remembering all the way back to the first video with Ross, okay? And then he buys clothes in a shop, and then the guy goes to the groceries, and then the grocery owner gets a haircut, and the hairdresser gets a taxi home, okay? Or at every single one of those, because of taxes, less money is being spent in the economy, and national income is calculated by one way, by the expenditure method, which is counting up, summing up, adding up all the money that is spent on final goods and services. If you take 10% away at every single one of those transactions, you're going to reduce the multiplier and hence what national income could have been by a lot more than 10%. Okay? Now, for each of the following, calculate the multiplier. Okay, so Andy's MP, and again I would ask you to take a photograph of this just so you can refer to it while I'm doing my calculations. Andy's MPT, okay, his marginal propensity to tax, any extra income that he earns, he has to pay 20% tax on it because his MPT is 0.2 and his MPC is 0.8. So any extra income that he earns, he spends 80% of it, or 0.8. Calculate the multiplier and what is the economic meaning of this figure. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to try and remember MPT of 0.2 and MPC of 0.8. Okay, so the first one here, okay, MPT equals 0.2, MPC equals 0.8, and the multiplier equals 1 over 1 minus MPC plus MPT. Okay, so the multiplier equals 1 over 1 minus 0.8 plus 0.2 equals 1 over 0.2, which is this, plus this 0.2, which equals 1 over 0.4, which I believe equals 2.5. So the multiplier in this economy is 2.5. So if national income increased by 100 billion, if the government increased their injections, if total injections increased by 100 billion, well then national income would rise by 250 billion. Okay, so the next one now is Brian's MPT is 0.3 and his MPC is 0.8. Okay, calculate the multiplier and what is the economic meaning of this figure. Okay, so what I'm going to do, 0.3 and 0.8. Okay, so the MPT equals 0.3 and the MPC is still 0.8. Okay, the multiplier again, okay, no harm in just writing it out every single time. 1 minus the MPC, which is the MPS, and that's why I made that mistake, because I can't talk and write at the same time. Okay, right, now, so what we're saying is the multiplier in this equation, or in this question, don't forget that is the same as the MPS, so it's equally valid to write this down, which is 1 over MPS plus MPT, and you find actually in the IB a lot of the times that's the way you'll be given it. Okay, now, which is 1 minus 0.8 plus 0.3, which is 1 over 1 minus 0.8 is still 0.2 plus 0.3 equals 1 over 0.5 equals 2. Okay, so very important again, the economic meaning of this figure is that any initial injection into the circular flow of income will cause national income to rise by twice that injection, which is the multiplier. Okay, and I really do hope this makes sense, guys. In an economy, national income went from 600 million in 2012 to 650 million in 2013. Okay, might as well just add in the million there. Brilliant. Okay, in 2013. So what we're saying here is the change in income equals 650 minus 600, which I'm just going to write down as 50 for the moment. Okay, you only have to put your answers with the currency and the quantity, like million, billion, whatever. Okay, just making sure, yes. Consumption in the economy went from 450 to 490. Okay, so the change in consumption equals 490 minus 450, and that equals 40. Okay, very good. Okay, that's the change in income, that's the change in consumption. And the change and tax revenue went from 200 million to 210. Okay, so the change in taxes equals 210 minus 200, which is 10. Now, we need to know two numbers to calculate the multiplier. And I'm just going to adjust my camera now. Okay, we need to know the MPC and the MPT. Okay, so I'm going to use this formula for the multiplier, equals 1 over 1 minus MPC, which again is the MPS, okay, plus MPT. Okay, so the MPC equals the change in consumption over the change in income. Well, the change in consumption was 40, as we can see here. So I'm going to write down 40 here, and the change in income, as we can see here, was 50. Okay, so that's 0.8, I think. So the MPC in this question equals 0.8. Okay, now the MPT equals the change in taxes over the change in income, which the change in taxes was 10, as we can see here. So I'm going to write down 10 on the top line. And then the change in income was 50, as we can see here. So I'm going to write down 50 on the bottom line. Now, what that equals is 1 over 5, which I think is 0.2. So the MPT equals 0.2. Okay, now the multiplier we can see up here. All right, so now all we have to do is just plug and chug, as they say. Okay, which is 1 over 1 minus the MPC, which is 0.8, and I'm getting that from here. Okay, this is the MPC, and this is how we calculated it there, plus the MPT, which I'm getting it from here, of 0.2. Now that equals 1 over 0.2 plus 0.2, which equals 1 over 0.4, which equals 2.5. In this question, the multiplier is 2.5. That means any initial injection into the circular flow of income will cause national income to rise by 2.5 times that injection. Remember that phrasing. Okay? Now, the last question, which is this one here. Right, let's see. Now, this one looks difficult. So, Aidan earned an extra 240 and his tax liability went up by 60. Okay, so let's write that bit out. Okay, so what we have... Oh, God, that's terrible. Let's try and get that straighter. Okay, we're doing all right there. Okay, so the change in tax equals 60 and the change in income equals 240. All right, so what we're saying is the MPT equals the change in tax over the change in income, which equals 60 over 240, which I believe that is 0.25, and I hope I am right. So what we're saying here is that the MPT equals 0.25. Oh yeah, good. Now, Aidan spent an extra 150 after his increase on earnings. Okay, well, the change in consumption, I've already forgotten it because I'm getting old. Change in consumption is 150. The change in income is still 240. The MPC, which we need to calculate the multiplier, equals the change in consumption over the change in income. That, of course, these deltas, these triangles means change. So it's 150 over 240, which is 5 over 8. And then the trusty iPhone comes out and we have 150, because I don't trust myself, divided by 240 equals, yeah, and I'm right, 0.625. Okay, my God, this isn't going to be easy. 0.625. Okay, now back to the question. Assuming everyone's multiplier is the same, calculate the multiplier for the economy. No problem, because no matter how ugly these numbers look, we know how to calculate the multiplier. Okay, so it's 1 minus the MPC. Again, this is the MPS plus the MPT equals 1 over 1 minus 0.625 plus 0.25, close that, equals 1 over, now I think it's 0.375 and I'm almost positive, but I'm not gonna, yeah, okay, so 0.375 plus 0.25, and again I'm just gonna, so I'll put this under here, 0.375 plus 0.25 equals, is that right? That couldn't be right. That's not right. Hold on, let me check. Hold on. 1 minus 0.625 equals 375. Yeah. Plus 0.25. Okay, very good. All right. So I suppose lesson learned, always trust the calculator. 0.625 and go 1 divided by 0.625 equals 1.6. Okay, and that's what that equals. Now, again, what does that mean? Any initial injection into the circular flow of income will cause national income to rise by 1 times that initial injection. Again, guys, I really hope this helps. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing you in the next video.